Let me go into Libya. The U.S. position from Libya does not seem to be very clear. There are conflicting messages, and there is also a common belief that Washington is green-lighting the Turkish intervention into Libya just to hold off the Russian one. What is the American position from Libya?
Let me be very clear.
Please.
The United States opposes all foreign intervention in Libya, and we believe that it is imperative that a ceasefire be respected, that the UN arms embargo be respected, and that the parties re-engage in a political negotiation to bring a Libyan solution under UN auspices to Libya.
Fine, but what are you doing beyond believing in ceasefire and believing in political solution? What is the United States doing? The United States is not just a country, it's the superpowers.
So we're engaged in very active diplomacy, and my president and my Secretary of State had conversations in the last 10 days with your president and your foreign minister about Libya. So we will continue to engage and use the tools that we have. We also have a very active ambassador to Libya who meets with all the parties in the Libyan constellation. And we're giving strong support to the UN mission there, which right now is led by a former colleague of mine, a former American diplomat. So we are, I think our position on Libya is clear.
But again, most of the statements coming out of the State Department, of the AFRICOM, of all the institutions are talking about committing to ceasefire, opposing military escalation. How are you going to push that to be on the ground? What is the role of the United States to have this happen?
The role of the United States is to engage in active diplomacy as a first step. We're also in contact with the parties that have troops on the ground there, which we don't. So we're not in a position to go beyond what I've said. But we take strong positions in the UN, in the international community, in the 5+5 talks, in the Berlin process.
Egypt has proposed the Cairo Declaration, and then when the international community did not enforce ceasefire on the ground, President Sisi warned that there might be Egyptian military intervention to protect Egyptian national interests and Libyans as well. Do you support the Egypt Declaration, and what if the GNA went on and they went into Sirte?
Well, we support a ceasefire before it gets to that point. We also support Egypt's security. So that's what I can say about it.
What if the GNA went into Sirte? And this is the red line that President Sisi said if that was crossed, then there will be a direct military intervention.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that we say it's absolutely urgent that an immediate ceasefire be put in place.
You are talking to the GNA.
We are.
Did you mention Sirte?
We're talking about everything. We're talking about the battle lines. We're talking about the future of oil production. We're talking about the arms embargo. We're talking about foreign mercenaries and foreign forces needing to leave the country. We talk about this with all the different parties.
In the statements coming out of those talks, especially the AFRICOM, they are talking, or the State Department, they are talking about demobilization of the militias, taking out the arms, and fine. How are you monitoring this on the ground?
Well, I have to defer to my colleague, the ambassador to Libya, because I'm not on the ground there and I don't have that personal involvement. My piece of this is Egypt's interests and our relationship with Egypt as far as Libya goes. So, and those conversations are frequent and quite detailed.
Is the U.S. talking to both parties? Because most of the statements are coming out from talks with the GNA. Are you talking to Haftar?
We talk to everybody.
You talk to everybody. Let me go back to Turkey. Why does it seem that the U.S., you say that the U.S. is against any foreign intervention, but why does it seem that the U.S. is looking the other way while Turkey, which is a NATO member, is flooding Libya with mercenaries, flooding Libya with militias, with arms against the UN embargo? This is against what the U.S. believes in. This is, I mean, it is.
Well, I think my statement at the top of this part of the discussion was very clear. We oppose all foreign intervention in Libya, period.
Yes, but Turkey...
And my colleague in Ankara has this conversation with the Turkish government. So he's the one who can tell you best what the Turks say.
But there is a risk of an ISIS hotbed near Europe and near Egypt. So this is, I mean, this is against, there is no, it looks like the US is condoning this. There is no statement that is opposing to that.
What I can tell you is that we oppose foreign intervention in Libya. We support an immediate ceasefire, a respect for the UN arms embargo, and a return to political talks under the UN lead.
Are you not worried to see another Syria?
We are extremely worried, and that's why one of the reasons that the UN part of this is so important, because we saw what happens when Turkey and Russia do a deal with each other in Syria and the consequences, and that's not something we would want to see happen in Libya, and it's not something that Egypt would want to see happen in Libya.
Definitely.
I think the US and Egypt are in absolute agreement that there is no military solution to the Libya crisis.